college offense, which should be a lot easier than his previous job.
All right, so here's where I think Harbaugh, up until last season, had done exactly what you said the best coaches do. Turn programs around within 2 years. He took over a 5-7 Michigan team. His first year, they go 10-3. They have a brutal loss to Michigan State where the game is won, and they have a snap.
Was the game over?
Okay, the game is essentially won. They lose in brutal fashion. If you remember, that's the game where the punter can't hold on. The ball goes over his head. Michigan State ends up returning it for a touchdown. So that's why they're 10-3 instead of 11-2. The following year, they're 10-3 again. Their losses: a 1-point loss to Iowa, a 1-point loss in the bowl game to Florida State, and your Buckeyes got a little lucky with a 4th down situation.
It's amazing. We're talking about football every day, but now we're talking about luck with Michigan.
Okay, well, I was actually talking about luck with the Buckeyes.
But yeah, on the bad side.
Sure, but my point is, if you say, okay, his second year, they win 10 games again, and their losses are 2 1-point losses and a loss where there's a very controversial spot at the end of a football game against your rival, that if that doesn't happen, you are not only going to a better bowl in the Orange Bowl, but you're in the national championship discussion. And then last year was a disaster. You can't be 8-5 and lose the Outback Bowl and have it be year 3 and not have your quarterback. My point is this: up until last year, he was checking every box.
No, he wasn't. Because he hasn't beat his rivals. He's 1-5 against Michigan against Michigan State and Ohio State. So he wasn't checking those boxes. When you go to these big schools, do they want you to win championships? Do they want you to have guys get drafted? Do they want you to play on national TV? Yes, but they want you to beat your rivals. That is one of the things that you must do in all these big jobs.
Agreed, but I guess that's why I was bringing up how those games were lost. Because listen, last year they were just outclassed by both those teams. I get that. But year 1, he has Michigan State beat, and it doesn't happen. Year 2, they do beat Michigan State, and he's right there with Ohio State. I think while the 1-5 is accurate, I think that's very easily 3-3, and then we're not having this discussion. But again, that's why this year's so important, because he does have the quarterback. Shea Patterson was the number 3 player in all of high school football when he went to Ole Miss. He transferred, he didn't have to sit out a year. Like, he finally has his quarterback.
Yeah, so this year we'll blame it more on the kids compared to blaming on the coach. When you're getting paid the kind of money Harbaugh, you shouldn't be talking about, well, the guy snapped it over his head. Those kids are on scholarship, just like all the other kids in college football, if they're on scholarship. So Harbaugh has been a lot of hype, all right? He's brought around, he changed their merchandising deal, changed their deal to Adidas, now their brand Jordan. He's taking them around the country to play. But is this Michigan football the way we expected? No, not from an offensive standpoint. Defensively, they've been suffocating. They have held this program together. Jim Harbaugh and that offense are his lack of being able to coach up a quarterback, because he's gotten a bunch of quarterbacks, a bunch of transfers, a bunch of veteran quarterbacks that he could not get them to play winning football. So I'm sorry that they've had all this bad luck there in Michigan.
My question, can they win 10 games and beat Ohio State?
Well, it's a tough schedule for them this year.
No, I threw it out.
It's tough.
I threw it out. Question went bye-bye.
Oh, okay.
Because I know his answer.
Well, what about my answer, Jenna Wolf?
Can they win 10 games and beat Ohio State?
They can do one. They can't do the other.
Oh.
So winning at Ohio State, that's tough.
I'm going to need that card back. It's got some other questions. Moving on to Drew Brees. Is it too far-fetched to talk Super Bowls? Not at all, according to some. Sure, Brees is entering his 18th season, and sure, the Saints will be without Mark Ingram for the first 4 games. But with Brees, they're always primed for another deep playoff run. And get this, his former teammate Reggie Bush says Brees will retire after this season if the Saints win it all, meaning they win the Super Bowl. That's probably it for Drew Brees. All right, CC, what's the key for the Saints to be in the Super Bowl mix this year?
Yeah, I think Reggie Bush just got a television job. I think he's officially announced his retirement, and he's in TV. So a lot of times to be able to, I wonder why Reggie Bush said that. That's the reason why, because he's doing some TV now. I don't think that Drew has thought it out that far. If you look at where the Saints are, their ownership, the great owner, he passed away. The wife has taken over the team. Financially, how much is she going to commit to the Saints long term? They haven't been willing to commit to Drew Brees. That's why he has a 1-year deal now. Drew has not given any indication. He takes care of himself. He doesn't necessarily do the things Tom Brady has done, but Drew Brees is in as good a shape as any quarterback that we have in the league. So I wouldn't be surprised if he played another 2 or 3 years. He has a system that's friendly to him because he can do anything he wants. But now they have a running game. So it's even better for Drew Brees late in his career. They don't need him to throw the ball 40 times like they did 5 years ago, 10 years ago. And they are one play away from being in the NFC Championship. So having Super Bowl expectations for New Orleans, that's not too surprising for me because they've really done well is adding some explosive players, that mean rushing the passer, playing defense to go with their outstanding offense. We know about Alvin Kamara, what he's doing. How do they recover from the 4-game loss of Mark Ingram? They're going to have to replace that productivity, but the Saints, I think, will be one of the best teams in the NFC come the end of December.
I don't think Drew's going to walk away if they win the Super Bowl, but I do think one more Super Bowl is the only thing separating Brees from being in the discussion of, man, after Tom Brady, who are the greatest quarterbacks we've ever had? By Halloween, he's going to be the NFL's all-time leading passer. By game 5 or 6 of this year, he will have thrown for more passing yards than anyone in NFL history. By around the same time of this year, he will have the second most touchdown passes of anyone in NFL history. If he plays 2 more years, he will be first on both of those lists.
So what's keeping him out of that conversation?
He only has the 1 ring. Like, to be in that GOAT discussion for that position, it's multiple rings. Like, it's when Marino had all the numbers, he had 0 rings. Favre had unbelievable numbers, only had the 1 ring. Like, Peyton had the unbelievable numbers. Yeah. That last ring he won in Denver, that was a defensive-dominated team, but the ring shines the same, and so it got a championship. I believe Peyton's the guy people will start going career to career and say, okay, both of them, unbelievable regular season success, unbelievable statistical success. Peyton has the more regular season MVPs, of course, but you could also argue Peyton was playing for a team that had more talent around it consistently than Drew Brees has. Like, he's one of the all-time greats, but he and Aaron Rodgers are in the same boat right now. Rodgers just hasn't played as long, so he doesn't have quite the numbers, which is, we know how good these guys are, but it's tough when Big Ben's got 2, Peyton's got 2, and Brady's got 5.
Yeah. Well, it's only tough if you're trying to get a list. You know, it's only tough if you're trying to put everyone on the list. But Drew Brees saying he's great, he's one of the greatest quarterbacks that's ever played in this era. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, I guarantee you, Drew Brees, he wouldn't care. He's definitely a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Without another Super Bowl.
Oh, no question about it.
No question. His numbers, his consistency, his ability to be able to lead a franchise. Now, you're talking about a force multiplier. When Drew Brees walks in the room, you might not recognize because he looked like a regular old guy, got a little birthmark on his face. But, man, you're talking about he is a superstar and a great human being. He's doing great things in New Orleans, him and his wife, on and off the field.
Can I ask you a question about the list for a moment? When you were playing, you didn't care at all if people thought, who's better, Chris Carter or Michael Irvin? That didn't, because I got to admit, for certain guys, I know it does. Like, for certain guys, and maybe this is more of an NBA thing, where guys really care about it. Who's the best player in the league? Who's the second best player in the league? And we've seen Durant talk about it. Like, you don't, it didn't matter to you?
If guys who were playing, if they wanted to create lists, it would make sense. But guys who haven't played, creating lists, what sense would that make for guys who are playing? Like, what would give them the ability to say, if I wanted to be on the list, well, it would be amongst me and the guys who have played going to make that list, compared to being worried about people who haven't played making a list. No, that's why I wasn't worried about it. No, because I knew when they threw the football in the air, there was no one who could catch it better than me. I didn't have to be on no list. I knew it. And I had video evidence, too.
Video evidence is always helpful.
Take a break. Coming up, is Big Ben prepared to have his best season yet? Big Ben thinks so. Next
Joe, you're on the list.
Joe's on the list?
You got black shoes? That means go get us something to drink.